This is a call to order, Solid Waste and Recycling Commission meeting, June 12th, 2023. I'd like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay. Really?
Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Because we do not have a quorum, we will not be able to approve the minutes today. So we are going to move to old business. And we have a status update review by John Cattell.
All right, just, let's see, give me 1 second here. 6. Get that one. Got that one. And I don't have that. Okay. Which was January. With my stuff. So you're asking for...
Oh, we need a status update first of food and waste program to date.
Yeah, so this is what I'm going to do instead to make it simpler. I did a spreadsheet with some of this information for you.
That is perfect.
That gives you a monthly portions of it. There's a couple corrections I'm going to need to make on it. But, Josephine, I sent this to you.
Yep, I got that. Thank you.
You figured make it a lot easier than you're trying to figure out writing stuff down.
Right.
I think it's a great idea because putting out a bunch of numbers that people have to record is
You're not
much more accurate.
Now, I'll clean this thing up a little bit. I guess I ought to put draft on the thing on top because I got a...
Okay.
Yep.
So just put that as a draft because I didn't have a chance to go through all the numbers, but I saw 1 or 2 things that are missing that I got to correct.
This is great, John.
So anyway, if you just
John, you're just going to update what you sent out, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
What I sent you, there's a couple of things like we're missing the glass for January.
Right. Yep.
So the total should be $34.45 for the year end total to year, and I think the outbound tire weight's a little low. I gotta go through that, but the other numbers look fairly good on the top.
Okay.
If you're looking at that thing, the top numbers are in tonnage. Then you got 20-pound propane tanks and tires. Those are numbers, and underneath those are the actual weights by tonnage. So those tonnages are off a little bit. It was kind of a little last-minute scramble trying to get this so it'd be easier.
My apologies. Propane tanks. So the numbers at the top.
So when you look at it, you see the top
Yes.
numbers from municipal solid waste down to textiles. That's all tons.
Yep.
For units, and that's something I might clean up just to put in as to units and stuff like that. 20-pound propane tanks going along. You got 161. Those are numbers. They're not. That's not weight.
Yep.
Tires. You got 540. Those are numbers each. You skip down to the bottom section. You got outbound propane and fire extinguishers. Those are weights, but they're missing some, I think. And outbound tires, and that's a little bit low. So I need to do a little checks on them, but but instead of me just reading off numbers and Josephine, you're trying to catch what I was saying.
Yeah.
This way you guys can kind of look at trends.
Yeah, and ask you
really
questions. I had a question.
So go ahead.
It's in the minutes. It said through May we've collected 10.46. So this is 11.67 because we have the 1.48
1.48 for May.
Okay, great.
So, the thing to take away from this is, you look at the top line, and we're at almost 29,500 tons of solid waste. But we'll get to figuring about another 3,000 or so in June at least.
Yep.
So we'll be around 32,500 tons at the year end. But if you look at food waste total, and granted, we only started in October, but you're only at 11.5 tons, approximately 11.67. So it's a feel-good thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's totally a feel-good.
That's all it is.
But it's moving in the right direction. It's too bad that we can't do more, at home composting work with our community.
Glass, like I said, you're probably about for the year, before I was giving this to you from inception, which was from the previous March, but I want to keep this on a year-to-year basis. So for your glass, you're about 34.45, not that 28 there.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And these are just some other numbers here that, are significant.
So, do we have an idea of how much we sort of are trying to target for the size of our community for glass? No, we just don't know. I mean,
Target,
no, but just keep pulling out as much as possible.
yeah.
can I,
Keep spreading the word that
we
there's glass.
wanted to start, passing out, I've been talking to some of the liquor stores and passing out flyers that could be, just taped to their desks. And, they're happy to put that information out. And I think also if we can try to target churches and as a drop-off, just have volunteers bring the glass down, it might help, but I think that's a pretty low number for glass. So propane tanks, do we have to pay, people pay, what is it, $5 for?
Yeah, I think there's a $5.
And that covers that whole program, right?
That covers the cost of it. And, so you got you got the 20 pound, and you got the, 1 pound is it, or, of, propane tanks. I'm only tracking the 20 pounds.
Yeah.
You're talking about the
Ones that you have.
most people have in
That
their
most
grill.
people have for a
Yeah, yeah.
grill or something like
Sure.
that. I mean, the 1 pounds are what you might use in a camping stove or something like that, or a lantern.
Do you think the recycling rates have been affected by moving everything into one consolidated area?
I don't think that's it. Overall, from year to year, I think our tonnage is down almost 400 tons from last year as the third quarter.
400 tons?
But that may be because we're being a little more vigilant as to what's going into the recycling and trying to pull out as much contamination as possible. So, I don't think that's the issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that, like I say, your status updates, that kind of shows you everything there. The second section of plans and goals that you might want to go into, I'll just kind of update you on some of the things that we're doing. So tomorrow, the interlocal of the 12 towns have representatives with the lawyer, our attorneys that we hired, which is Pullman and Conley. We'll be meeting with Oak Ridge for negotiating a addendum or extension to the current contract that we have. This way, hopefully it's a 1-year extension at this point so that it will match up with the termination of our solid waste at Rio Grader. This way they'll both be on the same cycle.
Yeah, that'd be much better, right?
So that's going on tomorrow. Other things that are happening, I got the stairs are done at the transfer station, and I'm kind of working on backfilling to where eventually we'll have I'll be placing a metal trailer and a bulky trailer. We are waiting still on quotes for the overhead doors. And the other thing, every so often we get what they call a hot load of MSW, which sets off the radioactive detectors at Wheelabrator.
Oh, really?
Is that from?
It's basically medical waste is generically the issue.
Yep.
We had a hot load this past Friday. Lisa and I went over to Wheelabrator today just to kind of look at what they have for radioactive detectors. We've had probably about 8 or so at least hot loads this year, maybe 8 to 10. I'd have to count them all up. But there's a cost involved when that happens.
Yeah, what happens?
They wind up having to take the trailer back out. You can't empty it. They wait until they get their consultant down, and you give it a couple of days to hopefully reduce below detection, which might be the case if it's medical waste. And then they'll, when they get their consultant down with their Geiger counter to do the measurements, they'll take the trailer onto the tip floor and they'll start tipping it, and then he'll start taking readings as it's coming out of the trailer. And you try and narrow it down, and like I said, this past one happened to be medical waste. And
Was it a large amount of medical waste, or could it be just so small?
It's enough to
Yeah.
be picked up by their detectors, which is, very sensitive. And that portion will then be taken aside, and Viro keeps it at their yard until, a couple of months or so, until the half-life continues down until it's non-detectable, and then they'll take it in and dump it. If it's something else, then you have other issues you have to address it with. The rubidium from your watches, is radioactive, emits radioactivity.
Now, dental and medical offices are supposed to put that stuff, with the x-ray stuff, that's supposed to go somewhere else, right?
Generally, it might be your nursing homes that might be having people that are on certain chemotherapy, things like that. That's where you get a lot of it.
Okay.
Sometimes you might have a driver who's driving it might have had some medical treatments where he was getting chemo or something like that, and he might set it off. So they try a few other times. They may try another driver, just, if they ask them or something like that. So where I'm going with this is I want to start researching the possibility of installing some detectors at our transfer stations to head this off so that we know what hauler is bringing it in and can say, no, this is your problem, this is not our problem. Because there's a cost for us every time this happens. So that's something that we have in mind.
Yeah, it's a real nightmare for the haulers too, because you can't control everything that somebody sticks in there.
Well, and you've got the trucks, you've got the trailer sitting.
Well, yeah, I have a whole trailer that's getting tied up now.
Yeah.
Well, no, I get it.
So, it's like I say, if we can turn around and set detectors up at our transfer station scale as they go over the scale, which is where we generally have it, because it's going in the trailers, then we can head this thing off before we get into...
Yeah, because when you think about it, it's been exposing all these people along the way, right?
It's not so much the exposure.
It's the end.
It's just having it. You're not allowed to drop it off there. That's the bottom line.
Right.
I don't think the levels are so high that you're violating any standard health exposure limits.
So.
Yeah, but of course, if they actually incinerate it, then and the ash goes out, then all of a sudden now you're spreading it all over every place.
It's whatever. So that's one of the plans that we're working on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm going to be looking at. And, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
So we're keeping busy.
Question, with the bidding process, do they look at anybody besides Oak Ridge?
This is an extension.
I know.
So we're not putting out an RFP right now.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just curious. I mean, has there been a discussion of, when the time comes to?
When the time comes, there will be an RFP,
Yeah.
and then they can look at it. But at this point in time, it's an extension. We're looking to extend the current contract so that it matches up with the MSW contract.
What is the current status of the Oak Ridge facility that was damaged with the fire?
They are receiving our recycling material.
Okay.
For a while, they were diverting it elsewhere, but currently, they're taking it all there. Now,
Okay.
how they're processing it, I have not been up there to see what ability they still have to process.
Okay.
Or whether they're putting it to another one of their locations.
It was, do you know what it was from, the fire?
Nope.
And how extensive the damage was? No?
Damage was extensive.
They're not gonna let you in. They didn't let us in when they're gonna keep that for themselves. I
Oh,
mean, it's their
yeah.
business really, so,
Yeah.
they're not gonna tell you what's going on. But at least it's good to know that you only have to haul up to Oak Ridge.
They're hauling up there.
Okay, good.
So then we had, any changes to revisions to, plans, goals for the, from the recently passed state budget?
I have no idea.
When I saw this note, my first response was, I've read about what was passed this year, but I don't have any specifics about, and whatever the passed, it's gonna take a while to come down to the
We're
level.
operating within our normal budget, our town budget, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so state budget impacts to burn plant recycling system, that, we table that discussion?
Well, there's not,
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. So.
I think they passed something that has to do with, obviously they're trying to increase recycle, but I think it's more of a, they're gonna do a study, et cetera, et cetera. There's nothing that was actually passed that said by January 1, Fairfield has to do something different. And that's the only way
Right.
that John and the department's gonna deal with it.
Yeah,
So
I'm assuming,
it'll be interesting to know what, if anything, improvements there are in, MSW and recycle in the state, but until we get word from them, there's not anything we can do.
and glass and cans is gonna be 10 cents. When is that gonna start? It should start rather.
January?
January 1, I
I
think.
think January 1.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna,
Well, on the subcommittee report, obviously, I'm the only one here of the three people in the subcommittee who are not at a meeting. And as we talked about a little earlier, my thought is that I would like to have a meeting before the September meeting if possible. But certainly it sounds like whatever we are able to determine in terms of fees and or anything else it's going to happen in the fall. And
But we can-
I don't think, well, I can tell you that we have had no meeting, there's nothing to report, other than, I think my desire to have something, frankly, I would like the three of us to meet down at the transfer station and with John and talk about some
Look at
things
the numbers.
before this, well, we have a lot of the numbers here now.
well, I know
think
we have
can start
these
looking at
numbers,
that.
but then you need the other numbers, right?
Yeah, but,
Their cost cycles.
Yeah, no,
We're working on it.
and I have some of that.
yeah, I know you do.
Send me the, what you have
Okay.
in an Excel, and I'll work on it.
Good, I'll do that, yeah.
Okay, so I would like to ask, John, hazardous waste is going to be the last weekend in August, because this is our last meeting,
August 26th,
August 26th, and,
9 to 2, I think it is.
and we had the lowest numbers that I remember last year.
Yep,
It was like.
it's been trending down. You maxed out during COVID. When everybody's home, they're cleaning out their houses, you maxed out at, I think you might have had up to 1,100 or so, or that might have been for the
But
full
even
year.
before COVID, we used to get 1,100, 1,200. I mean, so I'm just wondering, is there any Is the advertising of the program changed, or I know it's been hard because now there's no newspaper to post. Well, we post it in the newspaper, but nobody reads it.
Well, Brenda puts it out in her newsletter, and she gets a lot of people looking at that, and they, I think, generally put out a banner out at downtown.
I'm just wondering if there's any posting that you're gonna be sending out that, because we did last year, we included it, remember, on the recycle thing? We had a flyer and we included it on the hazardous waste information sheet. The other side was about recycling. We're not doing any mailing.
Be a mail,
We used to do mailings for hazardous waste.
The mailings are always involved with cost.
well, it's not that, but there's more, everybody's online.
Exactly.
That's the problem, because they're not getting the information.
Well, I think anyone, well, you know, to me, if people are paying attention and want to find out something, you go online, you're gonna find it out. And to your point, the weekly newsletter, it's online, yeah. But I think frankly, I know personally, when I first moved in with Laura and there I had some old turpentine and stuff like that. I took that down, got that out of my basement, got it down to the hazardous waste, and that's the end of it. I don't buy that stuff anymore. I think a lot of people have gotten rid of the junk in their basement, and yeah, it's just going down.
I mean, people really aren't buying their oil paints and all.
No,
which
not at
is
all.
a big thing. You know, your varnishes, you might get a few, but it's,
Okay, do you need any help, are you okay?
no, we're fine.
Okay. Okay, I think, we've covered everything we need to cover. Any other new business?
I think we covered a lot considering we don't have a quorum, and we're not gonna make any decisions or any votes, and we're not gonna make any motions, but, I think it's been very worthwhile. I really appreciate you putting this together, John.
Yep, and, like I said, I think I need to tweak it a little bit. I know the other one has a heading on it,
You could just send it electronically.
and then I'll send it out electronically. I'll get the revised one to you, Josephine.
Well, frankly,
Okay, great. Thanks, John.
I mean, I was thinking with what we have, you could extrapolate, but hey, it's almost the end of June. Maybe what we do is when you get the June numbers, just update it.
Yeah.
And we're not gonna do anything until September anyway, so
Yeah, I
We're
can
good.
send it out.
this is good. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll send you the Excel and you can do it.
Yeah, I went through and did find, because I was curious on what makes up, and I was
Right.
talking a little bit about at the last meeting that, how much the recycling, how much your residential haulers bring in versus your commercial haulers, or it's your town stuff.
And what I'm trying to get at is where are the biggest impacts and where, if we're going to do changes, where does it make more sense to do them? Yeah, so.
And if, off the top of my head, I think your residential haulers was probably about 2/3 of your MSW, your commercial haulers might have been just a little under 1/3, and then you might have 10% made up by everything else.
Yep. Okay.
My hauler keeps changing the rates. And I know.
Well, I don't know what, I can find out what our condominium pays, but that's big little, but that's a whole different, because he's covering 134 units.
Yeah, I think that's really commercial, I think.
Probably considered commercial, yeah.
It is now 7:30, and I think we're all set to adjourn the meeting.
We are. Josephine, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome, guys. I'll see you in the next round.